glasses on. They're prescription too, so I cannot see. So whoever these belong to, we want to come up and claim them. They don't belong to me. They were found on the floor over by the donuts. Trace? Is yours? There's no cheese. Oh, there's somebody. Okay, we got rid of sunglasses, or prescription glasses. We're all ready to start our meeting. So, first thing is our planned, we're all excited to see how we increase our IQ by 20 points. It's really good. And John and Dave Ruby are going to do that. We have our money, we're getting good. We have approximately $9,400 available. That's after our expenses for the year, meeting expenses and all the things that we're planning on buying. We're up to 1671, and I think that is a record for this time of the year. We have never been that many people right after the new year. Reminder on computer repair, we still get quite a few people, and we haven't pushed it. But we'd like you just to bring your computer in, not your kids and everybody else's, the neighbors. The service is for the members. And we'd like to, we try to suggest it. We don't really get a hammer out and say, we can't fix it, but we'll maybe get to that point. So with that, I'm going to sign up there is for telling you to get involved. We want people to get involved. Always possible. We're still in the need of more instructors for classes. Some people don't think they can do it, but you can do it. We got to get that. We need to get some more monitors in the club, and any people that have computer experience with administrating a large network is always something we can always use. We can use it daily or monthly or whatever the person is available. So with that, I'm going to ask Jim Nelson to come up and talk a little bit more about these problems. He's our publicity chairman.
Problems? Yeah, why don't you do it if you would, Frank?
I really don't want to talk about problems as much as I'd like to talk about communications. Our communications committee is 5 people, and over the course of each month, we put together the newsletter that you receive once a month. And if you're not receiving it, please let us know. We send this out to, this month, 1,267 homes. A lot of our members are 2-family homes, so 1,267. We had 784 who opened it. That's about 60%, and Constant Contact tells us that's a good number. You guys should be happy with 60%, but that may be telling us that some of us aren't getting it. And if you're not receiving this, oh, and I'm sorry, I got the wrong one, right? No, that's really my fault. Here's our newsletter. This may look more familiar to you. In any event, we think we put the information in there that everyone wants to know, and if there's missing something that you'd like to have in there, whether it's regularly or periodically, you just have to let us know. As Frank said, you can send an email to our club. And I didn't put all the pages together on this, but at the bottom of this, all of our contact information is there. Our phone number, email, Frank's home phone number. He says, don't call him. But we get a letter each month from our president. Frank was on vacation this month, so Dave Ruby kindly filled in with a nice letter. And we always talk about the upcoming events. We put something in there about our training classes, which Ralph will talk to you about. Anyway, the content of the newsletter, we think, is okay, but we're looking for help. Ken?
You want to remind everybody about, to get that newsletter, they need to put their current email address in their profile on the city website.
Good point. Yeah, if you haven't checked your profile lately, or maybe don't even know how, we can help you with that too. And if your email is currently incorrect in your profile, it means you're not going to get the newsletter because we go through the community's listing of all the members of the computer club. So, good point. Thanks, Ken. And the first thing you saw was our insert every month in lifestyles, which again includes this meeting and some other general information. Used to deal with the training classes, but those are subject to change so much so that we're now limiting that to a third thing that we put out, in this case, almost every week, right? And that is an email to all of our registered members as a reminder that the coming week is going to have this or these classes. And Frank may tell you, Ralph may tell you a little more about that. But these are the three main vehicles that we send out on a regular basis. We'd like to make sure you're getting them. And if you've got anything you want to add to them, we'll even take some complaints. Once upon a time, somebody told us I misspelled a word. But with the 5 folks on our committee, including the guy who takes your pictures here in this room during these meetings, are all contributing to what we do in the communications committee. So as Frank mentioned, we still need volunteers. And if we're looking at it from the standpoint of what would we do without them, somebody pointed out this morning that if you came in here this morning and found no donuts, no coffee, how would you feel about that? I mean, we're at a point right now where Bonnie, who is our past board president, current vice president, is volunteering on this for our Saturday meeting. So think about it, please, and consider being a volunteer for some light work, good social fun, and helping our cause. Thanks.
Let's give Jim a hand.
Oh, that's
That's one of the thankless jobs to do, and it's a hard job, to get all the publicity and get all the dates right and get it out set up. So let's see here, we got another training. Ralph, you want to come up?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Frank and Jim for asking for volunteers in the lab. Every meeting I say, well, we need help. We need teachers. We need more monitors. These guys paid attention. They're asking us. I have a sheet back there on that table by where the donuts used to be. And if you're interested in helping, if you're interested in helping us, we do need help. You know, in the summertime, we have the summer learning classes, so we don't have a very full schedule. And we have only one scheduled for the month of August, and that's coming up on the 18th of August at 1 o'clock. And it's going to be in the Birch Room. That's the old Fountain View room. And Bill Zaletti is going to talk about what is a tablet computer and how would I use it. Now, many of you already have one, but it sure would be nice to come to class. There's a lot of things that you probably don't know about it, and I'm sure Bill is going to expand on that. And if you're thinking about getting one, you can listen to him. You can then talk to people that got them. So that'll work out really good. Real quickly, for the month of September, here's what I'm looking at. We will have a Windows 10 class for all of you that got Windows 10 that didn't expect it. And we're going to have an introduction to LibreOffice. That is a free download that compares to Microsoft Office. And Paul Green's going to put it into one class to tell you what you get if you download it. And then eventually we may, go off into their, I think it's Writer and Calc and whatever they call them, that compares to Office. And how to travel with technology. George is going to do a program on how to travel with technology. Some of you will be going south. I don't think anybody needs to be going north in the winter, but you're going south and you can work listen about technology. We're also going to have a program on buying and selling on eBay. And I'm wanting to have an iPad phone or tablet class, but I haven't got that worked out yet. So if you watch the newsletter coming out at the end of the month, and also be in the lab, we'll have the dates and times for these classes, but that's what we're working on for September. Hope you will attend. And just one more thing, for the spring classes, March, April, May, I can't get this right now, April, May, and June, we averaged about 27 people per class, which is really good. Thanks.
Another thankless job, we gotta give it credit for. Thank you very much for the volunteering on that. One of the things I'd like to make, how many know we have 2 projection screens that have our club news on? One is in Drendel Hall and one's over in the, by the lab. So you should look at those too. The one that's down here by the old, where we had the old computer room, is still there. So everybody knew that, I'm sure. Right? Okay, the board has the next COW meeting is September. We had ours already this month, and the board meets August 17th at 1 p.m. Why don't you show up and see what is new with the board? There'll be some interesting discussions coming up with developing our fountain behind the lodge here that died a few years ago. Also, on the 26th of August, the VA medical van will be in the parking lot. It's going to be here on a monthly basis now, and it should be very important for all the VA members. It will be here every month, so that's going to be a real improved situation. So with that, let's have John tell us on how we can get our IQ up. We all can use that.
Is it set too loud?
No.
How to add 20 points to your IQ. We actually have a guarantee on this. If you, at the end of the session, if you really don't feel you've gained 20 points on your IQ, we will refund whatever you paid for this. One of the things that people really have trouble with on Google, and we're going to use primarily Google and YouTube to show you how to increase your IQ. But one of the things that people have trouble with is writing the query. Now here's a particular problem. It's actually one that we had in our house. On the washing machine, near the end of the cycle, the machine would stop. It didn't finish the full cycle, but it had an error code on the display that said F21. So to learn how to fix this problem, this is what the Google search bar looks like. And what you need to do in this section that I'm going through now is take a look at each one of these. Each one will have this format, and see how what the query is worded. On the query, you don't need. When you're writing the query, you don't need to use any punctuation. You don't need to do capitalization. You don't need to have a complete sentence. When it does the search, it does it on keywords. So in this case, I put in the name of the washer. It's a Kenmore washer. I put in the model number. It's 110.4751. And what I know about it is that it has error code 21. When I searched it, I found several different videos about how to fix it. And this is one of the ones that I selected. This is down underneath the washing machine. And this is actually a filter that filters the water. He got some water leaking out of it, so we put a towel under it. Kill it?
This thing died.
Water short circuit.
Huh?
The water that you spilled short circuit.
Yeah. The computer go off? It's not projecting this way. Huh?
That's unplugged. Maybe that's plugged the cord.
He just pulled it out, John.
Yeah, he just pulled it
He
out.
just pulled it out of there.
Oh, that's the mic, okay.
It's supposed to plug it in the wall.
Well, they say that's the mic.
Oh, that is right, that's a mic.
Okay.
I think so. We've got it on the computer, but not on the, it's not projecting to the screen.
Did you shut it off?
I want to replace no, I don't want to replace it. I'll replace it on it. I have to sit here. And I'm probably but don't let my mom have it.
I took that picture right after the meeting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Chris, yeah, let me back up one and then go to it.
Oh, that's why I won't.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's an accumulation of what's in the filter. But you can see that you get well rewarded for cleaning that out. I think he found about $1.45 in there. He's got Legos in there. He's got.
I'm missing my key.
Oh, that's a battery.
So that stuff is enough to block the water flow so that the washing machine stops working. And that was a problem that I had on our washing machine, right? Okay.
Well, ours doesn't have it.
Unfortunately, I didn't get $1.45. I only got 98 cents. But, you know, if you're getting ready to go out to dinner and you've cleaned out all the money you had on the couch pillows, you can go to your washing machine and right underneath, there's a money. This is sort of a mini ATM on the. Okay. Those of you that have a bicycle with a computer on it, once in a while you need to reset that and you can never find the instructions for it. So here's the way you write the query for that. This particular one's a cat eye. There's the model number, and it's a Strada wireless, and I'm looking for the manual. So all you do is the keywords that you need to do the search. And there's the manual for that particular bicycle computer. Anybody make chocolate chip cookies? I see some hands. Do you have the original Toll House cookie recipe? Well, if you don't have it, you can search it by putting in original Toll House cookie recipe, doing a search, and there's the recipe. Now, the technicians over in the lab have said if anybody wants to make some of these and have them tested, bring them into the lab.
That's exactly what I use from that package.
What was the maximum federal tax in 1963? When I first went to work, I think I remember the rate was higher than it is today. Today, the high rate is 39.6. Anybody know what it was in 63? 70. Any other guesses? Okay. Here's the way you write that query. Federal income tax rate in 1963. Here's what that rate is. 91%. If you're married, filing jointly, any dollar you make over 400,000 gets taxed at 91%. But they do let you keep 9%. How many people know how to do the electric slide? How many people want to learn how? Just go into Google And the query for that is, how do I do the electric slide?
This video, I'm going to show you how to do the electric slide, which is a signature dance from the electric boogie song from the 80s. It's a simple line dance which you turn around and face each wall. So we're going to break it down. The first step, we're doing 2 steps to the right, or steps together. So you've got to step right, and then same to the left, left, and push your body slightly to the right. Take it back with the right foot first, step, and step, and so your feet are pretty much together. Step on the left, touch your right, so it's close to the left. Step back, touch with your left. Take 1 step forward, scoot, and then start again. So right, touch, right. So breaking down the steps one more time. Step 1 to the right. Step 2 to the left. Step 3, turn it and go back. Step 4, touch to the front. Step 5, touch to the back. And step 6 is a step on the left, scoot, and turn it around to the next wall, and start again, facing your left. And to summarise how to do the electric slide, you've got your 6 steps. First step, 2 walks to the right. Second step, 2 walks to the left, turn to your right. Third step, 2 walks back. Fourth step, touch forward. Fifth step, touch back. And the last step, scoot your right leg and turn 90 degrees to your left. And that's how to do the electric slide.
The other night at the concert, I saw a number of you out there doing that. So, if the rest of you want to learn how, this is the way to do it. Now, I didn't know this until I was putting this presentation together, but there's 2 kinds of electric slide. That's called the urban electric slide. There's also a Western electric slide.
It's been around for a long time, still very popular. Once you learn this one, you'll be able to throw in some extra turns and really have fun with it. Right now, I'm going to show you what it looks like. It starts with a grapevine to the right, and a touch, and a grapevine to the left, and touch. We'll walk back for 3, and touch, step forward, and back, and forward, and scuff. So I'm going to turn around so you can follow me, and we'll break it down. We're going to start with that grapevine to the right, and a grapevine is simply this. Step out, cross behind, step out, and touch. Then we go back to the left. Step out, cross behind, step out, and touch. Let's do that one more time. Grapevine right, and touch, left, and touch. Then we're going to walk back 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, and touch. Step forward on our left, touch with our right, step back on our right, touch with our left. Let's do that much. Grapevine to the right, out, behind, out, and touch, left, and touch, walk back for 3, and touch, step forward, touch, step back, touch, then we step forward again on our left, and this time we scuff and turn to the next wall. And then we're going to do it all over again. That's all there is to it. So we'll walk through each wall now. Start with our grapevine. Grapevine to the right, and touch, grapevine left, and touch, walk back for 3, and touch, forward, and back, forward, scuff, right into our grapevine to the right, and touch, grapevine left, and touch, back for 3, and touch, forward, and back, forward, and scuff. Grapevine to the right, and touch, grapevine left, and touch, back for 3, touch, forward, and back, forward, scuff, grapevine to the right, and touch, grapevine left, touch, back for 3, touch, forward, and back, forward, scuff, and that's all the song, all for wall. Now we'll try it with some music.
Now, This is a problem that we actually found in the lab. Somebody brought their computer in and it was randomly playing radio ads and music in the background. So while they were searching on the internet, they were getting radio ads, they were getting music and so on. I'm going to give away one of the secrets that the technicians use in the lab. Roughly a quarter of the time when you bring your computer in and you describe the problem to them, they put that problem into Google and find what the solution is. On this particular one, the query for it is, my computer randomly plays radio stations in the background. The answer comes up that one of the users on the internet answered the question and said to disable the extensions on your Chrome browser. And another one came back and said, I just disabled the extensions one by one, and the radio stopped playing as soon as I got rid of the Netflix enhancer. So one of the extensions on the browser was causing the problem. And all you had to do was turn that off. Did you ever find pills in your medicine cabinet? You really didn't know what they were for? Well, before Google, the only way you could find out is you take the pill and just kind of monitor yourself for the rest of the day. But with Google, you put in the name, it's Westward number 290, and it says, okay, that is a 500 milligram methylcarbamol. And it's essentially, it looks like it's a muscle relaxant. But before you take the pill, you can actually look up and see what it's going to do for you, so you know what to expect. Don't use any heavy machinery after taking this. Smoke alarm replacement. How many people have a house that's more than 10 years old? Of those people, how many have replaced their smoke alarms? Is that all of you, or did somebody not raise their hand? Anyway, when you go to replace your smoke alarm, you need to get the proper one. So in this particular case, they had a BRK 4120B. So what's the replacement smoke alarm for a BRK 4120? And there's the replacement. It's a 9120. Dave's going to now talk about some of the enhancements and some of the, okay. It's not plugged in. Oh, you're right. Here, Dave, you can probably get this one on quicker. Dave? Dave.
Okay, I think I'm on. I'm still getting feedback. Maybe I can't be it. That's dead.
Take the metal out of your pocket.
No feet, no mic.
I know it's something. Oh, about here. There. Wander around a little bit.
You can let me slide.
Well, this is more show and tell, and we wanted to try to find some searches that might interest you. So let's see if I've got this right. No. So I wanted, I've been following the Cubs this year. Not that I was a Cub fan for all my life, but I've been following the Cubs. So I thought, well, I'll look up Kris Bryant. Well, when you plug it in, look how many searches you get. 18,300,000 Kris Bryants. Oh, I wonder why there's that many. Well, Google is looking at all the Chris's and all the Bryants. Chris Smith, Chris Jones, Chris whatever. So you need to refine that. So if you refine it by putting quotation marks around Kris Bryant, it only looks for Kris Bryant. Now there's lots of Kris Bryants, but predominantly they will be the baseball player Kris Bryant. And now we only have 1.5 million searches that you can look through. So who else is on the team that is pretty popular? And I think that's Anthony Rizzo. And we put Kris Bryant or, and or is looking for both. Instead of and, you put or. And now you get 1.5 million of Kris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, and they come up consecutively. So use the quotation marks and or to narrow your search. Another thing that has happened this past weekend, we had grandkids with us, and they wanted to see pictures of jaguars. Well, okay, so you go to Google, you put jaguar in, and first thing you know, you get 326 million pictures. Well, that's not very narrow. So we're looking for jaguar. Well, there's jaguar cars, there's jaguar animals, and probably some other jaguars around there. Not cougars. Anyway, so the way to helpfully refine that is using a dash or minus sign that is coupled with what you want to eliminate from your search. So Jaguar minus cars should give you predominantly the animals, although I see we get Jacksonville Jaguars. So that you get a mix, and it's always a mix. So another search that you could have done would be the very specific one, jaguar animals. Let's see, what did I write? Jaguar pictures of animals. And that will get you nothing but the picture of jaguars. And I did that instead of putting it on a slide. I'm just telling you about that. Okay. The other tool besides the minus that may be beneficial to you is the use of an asterisk. So I was trying to find a quote that I had recalled a few years ago. Talent hits a target, and I couldn't remember the rest of the quote. So I put talent hits a target, and then put the asterisk in place of what I didn't know, and then the next line was started with genius. So I put it into Google, And lo and behold, it comes up with the quote. And it tells you who made the quote, and the complete quote. Another way to follow this asterisk is I played a musical instrument a lot of my life. So I never really learned the words to songs. I can remember the title and I can remember some of the phrases. The asterisk works that way as well. Google addresses that. So if you put in just some of the lyrics that you might know and put an asterisk after it, Google will fill it in and give you all the lyrics, just the lyrics. Now, if you want music as well, ask for music and lyrics, and it will provide that. Those are called wildcard searches. I also was reading the paper about a week ago, and I read a term, 1MDB. I'm certain that everybody is educated to know that. Unfortunately, the newspaper didn't put the brackets and explain what that was. So I went to Google and put in, please define is the key word, define 1MDB. And this is the definition of what it came up with. So a lot of acronyms, if you see them in the paper, just use the driver word define to find out what it is. There's a number of driver words: define, find, price. If you want to find the price of something, put price and then what you want to find the price on afterward, and or how to spell, or I need help on this, use help, and then tell it what you want help on, and it will provide you with that help. Google is our big brother. It watches out for us. Now, John had used this page, but there's also some other interesting things that are available here when you look at Google. There's some documentary up here at the corner. Have you ever seen the 6 dots or 9 dots and not know what it means? Well, you can click on it and it's Google Apps. I don't know what the name of that 9-dot array is. Somebody called it hamburger the other day, but I don't know what the name is. But when you click on it, you can get all the other Google apps that are identified as Google. And as they continue to buy companies, I imagine they continue to put apps on that toggle. So I was looking down and saying, okay, what one of these would be a good demo for this group? And let's try Translate. Does anyone know German? Here's a phrase that we plugged in, and we identified that it was German, and then we asked for it to be translated into English. Man, this is terrible. Oh, it's because of the speakers? All right, I'll stay put. Anyway, so asked for it to be translated into English, and that's what surfaced. Well, that's not the end of the story. Let's see what Google does when you take that English phrase. The only real truth is to know that one knows nothing. Now let's translate it to French. Okay, those of you that speak French, Was this a pretty good translation? So now let's see what Google does. It will do these translations in 108 different languages.
Wow.
So back here where you can see the down arrow in each of these cases, when you click that, you will get the 108 languages that you can choose from to do your translation.
Wow. I'm up at least.
So now there's another tool on the Google. Let's see, I want to go back to that. Now you can see that there's Google Mail up there, and there's images, and then there's the 9-dot array, which gives you the Google app. There's two ways to get to this next demonstration. One, you can click images, and then you'll get some prompts afterward, or you can type in image.google.com. Now I wonder what you can do with that. Well, let's see. When you'll see, once you've typed image.google.com, you get a screen of a Google with a Google box, and it's got a camera and a microphone. Well, let's click on the camera. And now, those of you that were traveling on vacation in Italy, and you forgot to write down the picture, the name of the building that you took a picture of that you wanted to remember forever, and you forgot. If you've got the picture, all you have to do is trigger this page, images, by hitting the camera, and then you upload your image from your computer file of pictures and drag it over and put it in the box on Google. And lo and behold, there's the image, pretty murky, but it's an image. And you drag it over and put it in the box, and Google tells you that it's the Spanish Steps in Rome. It defines it, tells you where it was, and if you scan down this list, it'll show you a lot of pictures of the same thing, and you may even find a better picture than you took. And in fact, I know of someone that took a picture of something in Mexico. And he got home and it's a terrible picture. He looked it up on Google and found a delightful picture, and he incorporated that into his slideshow. So there's lots of tools that Google provides you. So in summary, you can look up medical information, surgical procedures, and in fact, I did look up a surgical procedure once, and they don't even put an imprimatur on that saying, this is going to be bloody. But you can look up a variety of surgical procedures. You can look up drug information, like John pointed out. You can find spare parts or how-to videos on YouTube. You can use keyword drivers like define, spell, find, etc. And the tools, sometimes to refine that, use quote marks to be very specific on what you're asking. A dash mark or a minus to remove a bunch of the trash out of your search, or a plus. And asterisk is always the wild card. Translation, you can use it to translate languages. And I was speaking to my son last night on the phone and told him about the translation tool. And he said, oh, I know all about that, Dad. Well, our generations are different. But he goes to Brazil and some of the Latin countries regularly. and sometimes to the Far East, and he uses Google Translator a lot. And he said it is unbelievably accurate, so I'll take that for what it's worth. So now let's remember one thing. When you request things on Google, make sure you use keywords, make sure you keep it simple, and then have fun. Hopefully, we have provided you with a few tools. And by the way, you can go to Google, you can Google enhanced Google search, and it will pop up a screen where you can use a lot more of the punctuation marks for a variety of searches. Some of these tools are only good on Google, but many of them can be used on Bing and other search engines. So now, do you feel smarter? Yes. Did you really know that? Or was it Google knowledge that taught you that? Any questions?
Hold on, please.
I can speak loud enough.
Tony,
You know,
Tony,
I don't want to speak.
you don't have to.
Okay, I understand that you use Google in every single case here. I'm a Microsoft loyalist. I use Bing most of the time. There's very rarely been a case when I've had to switch to Google to get an answer to a problem. And incidentally, I don't know how to find F12 or whatever that number was on my washing machine. It's brand new, and there's no digits on it.
Tony, I've looked for something on the Microsoft site using Bing, and I don't find it. And then I go to Google and I search the same thing, and it finds it on the Microsoft site.
I will repeat again, the majority of things that I want, I find on Bing. And if you're not finding it on Bing, I know you do have a problem with Microsoft.
Comments and questions?
Okay. Yep.
Frank, right over here's a question. Right there, here's Ken.
Yeah, Ken, go ahead.
You touched on YouTube, but you didn't get too much in depth into YouTube. There's so much more on YouTube that people can use. YouTube is great for anytime you're trying to do something. If you're trying to take your laptop computer apart, it tells you what screws to take out where. If you're trying to use some software, there's always tutorials out there on how to use any kind of software. I taught a class on the Virtual Producer, a slideshow program, and I told the people attending the class, anything you're trying to do, there's a lesson out there on YouTube about any specific thing you're trying to do. I replaced the front axles on my wife's the old Jeep she had, and I went on YouTube and it told me exactly step by step how to do it, and this video showed me how to do it. And, well, obviously, like fixing your washing machine, that was on YouTube, how to do that. Google pointed you there, but you can go right to YouTube, and there's a search box up there just like on Google, and you can just type in what you're looking for, and it'll show it to you. Put in the model number of your computer, put in the model number of your washing machine, whatever, and it'll help you. So there's so much on YouTube that's really great.
And one of our most popular classes is the Windows 10 class, and YouTube has some really good Windows 10 tutorials.
I just wanted to comment on Google Maps, because one of the things I found very interesting is when you go to the little man and moving to your map, you get a street view of the area on the map. What I also found was it works in foreign countries. I went to Poland and I went to Warsaw and I looked at the street view. And then if you click on the view, you can walk down the street. So it changes and you just can explore another area by walking on Google Maps.
If you're going to go downtown, let's say to an evening party someplace, you can use the street views to go down the street and find parking places. So when you get there, you know where you can park.
That's if no one else got there first.
One other comparison between searching a map or a location. Microsoft Bird's Eye View, I think, is better than Google Earth, but that's a matter of preference.
Okay, let's have a contest here before we'll ask that question in a minute. How many people here have saved over $1,000 on Google by doing this?
Oh, yeah.
How many, I'm raising my hand too, how many got $2,000? Got one in the back, I think I'm close to that too. One of them was an ignition system on a car, told me just to ground it and it worked fine. It was they would have sold me a new computer. And all I had to do was add a new ground wire. And another one was a TV, solid state, liquid, new style TV, and it was a fuse on the board that was I replaced it with a remote fuse, and it worked fine. It's worked now 3 years since I did that. So that was $1,000. And a wash, refrigerator, ice maker. How do you get it apart? Video. And the parts were $50, but I'm sure I would have spent way more than $200 to get a guy out to fix it.
Service calls.
Yeah. So you can save big money, and even if you don't do it yourself, you get an idea of what it takes to fix it. Question.
I got a simple yes/no question, and I also have one that's just a little bit more than a yes/no. Those driver words that you mentioned, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn how to work with Siri. Do you know if the driver words would be a shortcut for me to use, which I realize doesn't quite work with our search lecture here, but just a yes/no. Does anybody know if it works better than trying to tell Siri something?
Yeah, you're better off to type it in to get it clear. On Google search, it has so much, and it also will do you, if you type it in, it will do a YouTube search at the same time. It'll pop up whether it's YouTube or a text box, text type answer to your question.
The thing I really wanted to ask you about was searching is, okay, so you narrow it down like you were explaining, like John was explaining earlier. You narrow it down, you still, what's going through my mind is I got probably about 40 answers to my question. I was trying to find out how to put contacts on the cell phone, on an iPhone. And I ended up, I think the answer is you can't do it. But I mean, it seems like it was spend an awful lot of time, even when you've got it narrowed down. And I wonder if there's any other one more secret or two that gets you to the exact, or that tells you right at the start that nobody found an answer, so I don't have to look at all the negative answers.
Well, one of the problems is that when you do a search, you get all the good answers and all the bad answers, but they don't tell you which ones are which.
Last question?
No, let's finish addressing that though. You can't put contacts. You can't put contacts on your smartphone. Right, Bill?
Yeah, no, you can't.
Oh, you can't. You have to go through the cloud to get your contacts put on your smartphone.
When you were looking at, or had the slide up there for typing in the query, I noticed there was one little key phrase that says, "I'm feeling lucky," and I've seen that before. What does that mean, or what does that do?
I feel lucky is the best answer that Google thinks it's going to be will show up first. It'll pick the best answers based on the search criteria. It uses its intelligence to figure out which is the best answer. And it might cut some answers out and replace it, not show you as many of the weird ones. Sometimes it will, it'll reduce the number that you have to go through. I would say most times when you get the searches, you look at 2 pages of responses if you're looking, if you don't see it in the first one. Look down 2 pages because sometimes it takes that many, and disregard the ones that say add. It says add on the first 4 maybe. And they might be something related to some of the words you used, but maybe not really specific, and they're on the top. But they've got ads listed. It starts with the word add. You can pretty sure those aren't gonna help you. But, and usually the guy wants money, so besides that, you don't need to waste time reading them right then.
Frank, if you get something in Facebook in another language, how do you get that into Google to translate it? Or is there another way?
Cut and paste.
Cut and paste, you can use the control key, hold the control key down, hit C, first you underline the text, by clicking on it and dragging your cursor over it, and it's all highlighted, then hit Control C, that'll copy it. And then you can go to translation and paste it in, and it's Control V. I don't know why V, but it's V.
I think, sorry. Herman, do you have the last question?
Yep. He's coming. Sorry.
Battery's dead.
Dave, when I first learned about this years ago, they said do not have no space between the plus or minus sign and the word.
That's correct.
But here I saw that between the minus and the word you had no space, and then when you use the plus sign, you had a space.
Yeah, it doesn't make much difference today. It might have made a difference
Years ago.
years ago.
I have run it with the minus. My experience has been you need to marry it to the word. The plus is not as important.
And by the way, imprimatur does not mean what you think it means. Look it up. It means it may be printed in Latin.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you for all coming, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Thank you. Next month.